Hello, everyone. This is Billy Price from Billy Footwear here for another episode of Open Book. This is episode 7. We are just we're just cruising right along. Now, this one's going to flow a little bit differently than the open books we've done in previous episodes. On the previous episodes, we had guests, but this time we were asked to do something a little bit different. We were asked to do somewhat of a top 20 questions that speak to kind of my story, I guess, but also a story about the brand itself. So for the next 20 to 30 minutes, we're going to go through the top 20 questions that I guess, personally get asked, and then also questions that are asked of the business. So before I jump into it and bring up the first question, I just wanted to, one, if you're new to Open Book, welcome. What Open Book is it's basically a vehicle that we put together, which is more of a live broadcast each Wednesday, which connects us directly with the customer. So this is a live broadcast. So, if I trip up or whatnot, we've got to keep just cruising forward because it is live. But it also allows you, the customer, to actually reach out and engage and ask questions and learn about, I guess, the back history of the brand, where we're going, and just really what's coming in the future. And it also lets you know about the associations that we associate with. May it be the retail partners, may it be like the nonprofit organizations that we're collaborating with, just a real general overall perspective of the brand itself. But this is episode 7. So if any of you out there have tuned in through episode 1 through 5, welcome back. So here we go. Let's start with the top 20 questions that I get. I'm going to bring it up here. Question number 1. Where did I grow up? So I grew up in a small little town by the name of Issaquah, Washington. It's about 30 minutes east of Seattle. And at the time in that area, it was a very rural community. And it's certainly not a rural community now. And coincidentally, my co-founder, Mr. Darren Donaldson, he also grew up in Issaquah. And we grew up about a quarter mile from each other. So there's question number 1. Question number 2. Why are you in a wheelchair? So when I was I grew up, like I said, I grew up in Issaquah. I was very active in the outdoors, very active in sports. But when I was a freshman in college, unfortunately, I fell out of a 3-story window. Now it was a three-story fall, head first to concrete. So I broke my neck and my back, and it ended up being a spinal cord injury. And one of those things about spinal cord injuries, when it comes to the central nervous system, maybe the brain, maybe the spine, unfortunately, like the bones heal, but oftentimes those nerves don't heal. So anyway, I broke my neck on October 9th, 1996, and it just caused paralysis. That's what I'm going to share. Okay, next question. Question number 3. Do you play sports? I do indeed. So growing up, I played a lot of soccer. I played a lot of baseball. I was very active with skiing. I don't know. I guess I was a pretty athletic kid. And after being in a wheelchair, I wanted to kind of pick up the mantle of where I left off. Now, a lot of those sports were a little bit more challenging since I'm not walking anymore. But one thing that seemed like a great avenue to pursue was skiing. So I do still ski. I've got a little sit ski. I don't know if you guys have ever seen this before, but the sit ski that I have essentially has 2 skis underneath me. I sit in similar to, I guess, like a wheelchair without wheels. Kind of sit low to the snow, and I've got these outriggers that I hold onto with my arms. And on the end of those, there's little skis, and I'm able to bomb down the hill. So essentially, you put on a helmet. And I don't know, just kind of hope for the best. So that is one sport that I continued. Okay, that was question 3. Next one. Do you drive? I do indeed. So I have my vehicle. Let's see. Growing up, I drove an old school 1977 Ford pickup truck. Just a massive, massive truck. It was actually my grandfather's truck, and it was just a gas guzzler. At best, maybe downhill. With a tailwind, you could get 8 miles to a gallon. But so anyway, that was the car that I started with early on. But after being in a wheelchair, that type of setup just wasn't going to work. So I ended up getting a Volkswagen van. So the Volkswagen van, it has a lift on the side of it. So I'm able to deploy the lift, roll myself onto the lift, and then hit a button, have it go up, and then I transfer into the driver's seat. And the way I actually drive is there is a peg that comes out of the steering wheel, which I'm able to hold onto the peg and kind of be able to rotate the steering wheel back and forth because I just don't have that hand dexterity. And then when it comes to the actual the gas and the brake, it's a lever which physically pushes the brake and the gas to push the pedals. So if someone were to drive my van that is not in a wheelchair, they could easily go in there and drive the van with their feet. They're not constrained to having to do the hand controls. But yes, I do still drive. Okay, next question. Here we go. Do you travel? Yes, indeed. So I had a travel bug before I was in a wheelchair, and I certainly had a travel bug following being in a wheelchair. I'm very lucky to have a very adventurous wife who loves to travel as well. So we've had the fortune of going to go all through Europe. We had the fortune to go to the UK and Ireland and France and the Netherlands. We even made it over to Russia a number of years ago. We made it to Iceland. We've also been to Australia and New Zealand. So, and even South America, come to think of it. South America, we went to Machu Picchu. Man, I'll tell you, Machu Picchu is not wheelchair accessible. There are stairs and stairs and stairs, but it's a pretty amazing place. But man, in a wheelchair, it's definitely tough to navigate. But yeah, traveling is great. I love it. Okay, what did you study in college? So as I mentioned, I got injured in college. I was a freshman in college. I fell out of that window within the first 2 weeks of being in school. And the major that I was pursuing was mechanical engineering. Growing up, I kind of already had a bit of a mindset for wanting to understand how things are put together and wanting to put together things on my own, kind of build stuff, like both in the mind, but also like the actual execution. So going into college, engineering made sense. And I chose mechanical engineering because it felt like somewhat of a middle part of the road between all the engineering degrees. And but that said, what I think I really got out of college and that degree specifically was essentially just the ability to problem solve. So that really paid dividends later in life. We started BILLY Footwear. Okay, next question. Where do you live now? So I'm still in Seattle. As I said, I grew up in Issaquah, Washington, about 30 minutes to Seattle. Now I live in downtown Seattle, up on a hill called Capitol Hill, and it just kind of overlooks downtown. It's a pretty fun, very dynamic place. Okay, before BILLY Footwear, what did you do for work? So after I graduated, or I guess I should say when I was in college, I had a couple of internships. I actually interned with the Boeing company, so airplanes. And after I graduated from college, I got a job with the Federal Aviation Administration. So I was still very much involved in the airplane business, but it wasn't necessarily doing stuff directly with the airplanes. I was more of a project manager taking care of the facilities on the ground. I mean, I had no idea there was so much that went into when one travels on an airplane. Like we as customers expect to go to the airport, get on a plane, fly to that destination and make it there safely, but also make it there in time. But in order for that to happen, there's so much stuff behind the scenes that has to really be working. And it's really that communication bridge between, or the communication link between the pilots that are flying the planes and the ground control on the ground, viewing and controlling the planes. And my piece of that puzzle was making sure it was more on the air conditioning side, the mechanical engineering side, making sure the buildings are at the right temperature. So everything inside those buildings, may it be equipment, may it be radar equipment, may it be radios, may it be personnel actually looking at all that gear to be able to talk to the planes, just making sure that all those environments kept at the right temperature so they could do their job. So that was my, I did that for 16 years and before jumping ship and doing BILLY Footwear full time. Okay, next question. What inspired BILLY Footwear? So as I just mentioned, working for the FAA, about the last 3 years of that journey, I started building up BILLY Footwear on the side, kind of a side hustle. And then I was fortunate enough to, both myself and my co-founder, Mr. Darren Donaldson, we were fortunate enough to be able to build the company up to a point where we were able to step away from our day jobs to do BILLY Footwear all the time. But to get to that point, what really inspired it was back to me being in a chair. When I was in a wheelchair, let me rephrase that. When I was in rehab in the hospital, I figured out how to do a lot of things in the hospital. But the one piece of the puzzle that never really got sorted out was shoes. I mean, I could figure out what kind of clothes to put on. I mean, there were various clothing brands out there that, allowed me with poor hand dexterity to be able to put on a pair of jeans, be able to put a shirt on. I mean, even with buttons, like there's devices that allow you to button things together. But I just never found a solution out there for shoes that, one, worked, and two, that I felt were attractive. Because we wanted to have, or at least I wanted to have something that, looked like all the other shoes on the market. I wanted to be able to have that kind of a quality. So Darren and I, when we've been friends all of our life. We kind of like drifted away from each other just because that's how timelines happen. But we got reacquainted. And when we were catching up, he was mentioning a shoe project that he was working on his own. And when he said that, that's when I chimed in going like, since being in a chair, I've never been able to put my shoes on. And I bet if we put a zipper in a shoe, which isn't necessarily original, but if we put a zipper in a shoe that goes on the outside and then around the toe where the whole upper can fold over and you can drop your foot in unobstructed, I bet I would have a fighting chance to be able to put on those shoes independently. So that little casual conversation turned into okay, let's give that a shot. And then it turned into a much bigger thing later in life where it turned into a business, and then it started reaching all corners of the globe. So pretty exciting how that all came together. Okay, next question. Oh, here we go. This is a good one. How long did it take to ramp up the business? So that conversation that I had with Darren, that was at a Christmas party in December of 2011. And then we formed our initial company in 2012, and then later rebranded as BILLY Footwear in 2015. And then it was August of 2017 when we got on the shelves of Nordstrom and Zappos. And that's when people really started to be able to see the brand out in the marketplace. And then it started to get a lot more attention. So in terms of like how long did it take to ramp it up? Well, it was a conversation in 2011, 2012. And then like pretty much 5 years later, we were on the shelves. And here we are another 3 years later. And the growth between August of 2017 and where we are now has really been remarkable. Because when we entered into the market in August 2017, all we had was kids' shoes. And the growth that we had and the success that we had with kids, it allowed us to go smaller in size down to the toddlers, but also bigger in size to both women and men in the adult category. So, and then we got big things on the horizon coming up in later this year, but also in 21. So it's a slow grind, but it's a steady grind with a great kind of growth trajectory. Okay, next question. Where can I buy BILLY shoes? Okay, so this is one of our top questions that we have, like more on the business side. So when you go to billyfootwear.com, one thing that you'll see towards the top on a desktop, there's a banner, a strip that goes right along the top. Or if you're on your mobile, there's a little hamburger, lined little drop down menu in the upper left hand corner. If you click on that, you'll see that there is there's a link which says retail partners. So on that retail partners drop down, or in that on that page, it lists all the different retail partners that we have that you can shop from. So that can be online. It can be like a lot of the stores I was mentioning earlier, for example, Nordstrom and Zappos, but also in the Midwest, we have Shields and Von Maur. There's a lot of independent stores that we have throughout the United States. And then also we have some independent stores up in Canada. So I know that's a question we typically get from on the international side. It's like, can I buy, I'm from Canada, can I buy in Canada? So those are, we have 3 partners in Canada at the moment. So those are great outlets. And then also we have a number of outlets like international. So we have a spot in Argentina, in Chile, in the UK, in Australia, New Zealand, and then in Europe, we have Spain, we have the Netherlands, Germany, France, and it just continues to grow. So very, very exciting. But to really figure out where to buy, if you're not going to buy directly from BILLYFootwear.com, a great place to go is that retail partner tab, and it can really point in the direction of where our other partners are. Okay, next question. Okay, what sizes do you offer? Okay, so as I mentioned earlier, when we first launched, it was kids, and then it allowed us to expand into toddler and adults. So right now, we have in American size, in US sizing, it goes from a toddler 5 all the way up to a toddler 10, then goes from a kid's 11 up to a kid's 6, and then in women's sizes, it goes from a women's 6 up to a women's 11, and then in the men's sizing, it goes from a men's 7 all the way up to a men's 14. Now that's kind of, that lingo is more US sizing, but it's also in terms of like how that correlates to like a European size or a UK size or an Australian size or something like that. We have a sizing chart on our site, which allows you to see how that all converts. So pretty exciting. We have the whole spectrum, which is great. Okay, next question. How do I know what size to order? Okay, so that sizing chart that I was mentioning, on our site, BILLYFootwear.com, if you're on a desktop or a laptop, if you scroll all the way to the very, very bottom, there's a number of links in the footer, and two links down there. One will say sizing help video, and the other one will say sizing help, or sizing chart. And if you look on there, it'll give you a lot of information of exactly how to measure your foot. Now, our shoes do run true to size. So, but that said, it never hurts to double check by taking measurements to see exactly if the measurements, the way that lines up on your foot, if it does correlate with your expectations of what you're going to buy. But one great little tidbit and one great helpful tip would be if you look at your existing shoes, may it be a different brand, and if it says you're in a women's 7, most likely you're in a Billy's women's 7 as well. So, or if it's a European size or something like that, you can look at the sizing chart to see how the two convert. So that's a great way to go. But if you have any questions, you can always come to reach out to us through our customer service channel, and we're more than happy to help you out. So that is that. Okay, let's see here. Next question. Do you carry wide shoes? Okay, great question. This is another top one that we get from customers. The answer is yes. So along the trajectory of growth and everything, one of the big questions we get is, do you have wider shoes? Now, when we first launched, all of our shoes were just a regular width, like a medium width. But in the adult sizes right now, in both men's and women's, we do carry wide widths. So for women, we have a D width, which is actually coincidentally a D width in women's is the same width as a men's regular width. But in the men's category, we go up to a triple E, which is the widest that we go. Now, the next big question we get is do you have widths in kid sizes or toddler sizes? And at the moment, no, we don't. However, we're very excited to announce that this coming November 2020, we will have wide widths in both toddler and kids available. So that's been one of those big things that customers have been asking for, and we're just so ecstatic to be able to say, yes, it is coming, and it's going to be even better when we're able to actually, when it'll be on the site for you guys to be able to purchase. So just a couple more months. It's crazy to think that November is right around the corner, but it's nearly here. Okay, next question. Do you ship international? Yes, we do. So we ship to a bunch of different countries through BILLYFootwear.com. If you're curious about the exact countries that we ship to right now, if you go to our frequently asked questions page, you can find that in the top banner if you're on a laptop or a desktop. But again, that hamburger, that three-line drop-down menu in the upper left-hand corner on a mobile, you'll see a tab that says frequently asked questions. If you go on there and scroll down, you'll see a section where it talks about international shipping. And yes, we do indeed ship international. There's a bunch of countries listed. If by chance you're in a country that's not on that list, just please reach out to us and we'll make sure to add you. Now, we do have, as I was mentioning earlier, we do have retail partners in other countries. So checking on the retail partners, you may already have an outlet to buy Billy shoes local to your country. So check that tab too. Let's see what else. So now I will say that, unfortunately, when it comes to international shipping is expensive. When you're looking at the actual shipping cost, the cost that's on there is the actual cost that it is. So we ship through USPS as well as DHL, and unfortunately, I mean, just shipping is expensive. I mean, just really is. That's actually what the courier is charging for the shipments. We don't mark it up or anything like that. But another thing to think about too is because it's international and it's bringing in foreign product, you may want to check on. You may get charged with an international duty when you're bringing in that product. That's something that's completely out of our control. It's something that unfortunately the importing country charges their customer. So it's something that's on the receiving end. So that may be something you want to check into to see if you'll get hit with one of those duties before you make a purchase. But if you have any questions or anything like that, always reach out to us. You can always feel free to reach out to us, and we can kind of help explain that a little bit better on a one-on-one basis. Okay, next up, let's see here. We're rolling right through this. Next question, do you carry boots? Okay, so this is another one we get quite often. We do have some boots in kids' silhouettes right now. We have two more on the fashion side. One is a brown boot and a black boot. We also have some cozy boots that are more on the warmth side in both black, a chestnut, as well as a blush. But the question when people ask like for boots, it's more along the lines of like a rain boot. So we don't have rain boots yet. We're definitely looking at it, and we have some design concepts in play at the moment. I don't have a good timeline for you. Perhaps it could be a winter of a 2021, but I just want to let you know that we are looking at boots. That is very much on our radar, and we're excited to like step into that category. We're just not quite there yet. So there it is on boots. And then let's see here, the next question. Do you carry sandals? So this is the one we've been getting quite a bit just recently, simply because in the northern hemisphere, it's our summer months. We don't have sandals at the moment. That's another kind of a question that we're kicking around in terms of like what the design could look like. So I really don't have a gauge on timing on this one. But the short answer for this one is, do you carry sandals? No, we don't. Will you carry sandals? We're looking into it and trying to figure out the best design and how to pull it off. But it's an exciting category. At the bare minimum, like just to have a BILLY Footwear sandal that is branded with our logo on it, I mean, that would be a spectacular start. But we're also trying to look at it through the lens of like that drop-in unobstructed entry, like how that could be pieced together in more of a sandal format. So that's that question. Okay, moving on. Oh, okay, here's a good one. So how do I become a seller of BILLY Footwear? So I mentioned that retail partner tab quite a bit. So all those retail partners that are on there, I guess may, other than the big box stores, but all those independent stores, all of those channels in foreign countries, those are all in place because those areas reached out to us. They reached out to us asking if they could carry the brand, and we were just ecstatic to say absolutely. So if you have a store out there, or I mean maybe, or even if you're a clinic or something like that, where you've seen patients of yours that have had a lot of success with the shoes, and you're interested in carrying the brand, yeah, please reach out to us. We're more than happy to sign you up to be able to get you the product at more of a wholesale price, so you can pass it on to your customer. I mean, that's really, really cool. I mean, it really shows that, you know, the growth and be able to expand the brand and get it out there to those in need. So how do you become a seller of BILLY Footwear? Well, just reach out to us through our customer service channel, and it will definitely get you in contact with the right people that can set you up. Okay, let's see here. Next question. Oh, okay. So I've talked about the customer service channel quite a bit. Here we go. So how do I reach customer service? So on billyfootwear.com, you'll notice there's a tab that says contacts. So if you go to that particular page, you'll see that there's an email way to reach out through email. You can also reach out through form, and then also we have a telephone number too. So those are three great channels you can look. You can reach out to us. You know, we're also very active on social. People do reach out through Messenger, and also like leaving comments with on Facebook or even Instagram. We're not as quick with those channels, but going through info at billyfootwear.com, I would say is by far the fastest route to go. but we will get back to you through any of the channels. It's just that I would say the info route, the email address is probably the fastest way to get a response. So yeah, so there it is. Okay, so let's see here. I think we got one more. Oh, here we go. Here we go. What advice do you have for new business owners? So I guess this is more like the entrepreneurial side. Yeah, starting a business. Wow. So I did not grow up in an entrepreneurial family. Being an entrepreneur was very, very new to me. I was very fortunate to be teamed with with another co-founder that just lives and breathes entrepreneurship. So he had a lot more experience in this space than I did. But really, I guess what I could say is, like, when it comes to starting a business or anything like that, is it's a grind. It really is. It's a grind, but it's a very worthy grind. I mean, if you put your passion into it, you can see things starting to grow, and you're able to see and engage with customers and be able to add value to their world and empower them to tell the story of the brand, to be able to get that brand and get that word and get that news out. It really is remarkable how much can be accomplished. So I would say that the biggest advice that I would have for a new business owner is, one, there's no shortcut for hard work. Put in the time, put in the grind, have that, tenacity to keep moving forward, and really focus on relationship with the customer, relationship with those you associated with. May it be the manufacturers, may it be the outlets, the retail partners, may it be, anybody, like support organizations, may it be, nonprofits. I mean, all that stuff. I mean, everybody, it's important to be able to do what you can to add value and to be able to empower them to be able to not only tell the story, but to be able to better that relationship. Because if you help someone else out, the law of reciprocity says it is going to come back to you as well. It's not like you're helping somebody out because you expect it. You're doing it because it's a gift. But the way the law of reciprocity works, like, you keep adding value, and good things are going to happen. So those are really the top 20 questions that we had. These programs really run for about 30 minutes. So we are kind of in the last few minutes, but I do want to, I'm looking through here. There are a couple of other questions that did come in. Well, here's one right here. It says, do you stock in the UK? Yes, we do have someone in the UK that does carry the brand, and their email address and website address is available on that retail partners tab. So on BILLYFootwear.com, that's a great way to do it. I see another one right here talking about like sizing and whatnot. So yeah, feel free to reach out to us directly at info@BILLYFootwear.com. We can certainly help you out with sizing there, but also consult the sizing chart too and the sizing help video that can help you out too. And then, here's one right here. Do you sell different size shoes? Yes, we absolutely do. So on the frequently asked questions page, there's a video towards the bottom, which really illustrates exactly how to do it. And when I talk about different sized shoes, what I'm talking about is, if someone, for example, had, like, their left foot is a size 9 and their right foot is maybe a size 7, do we have the ability to sell a size 9 shoe and a size 7 shoe to make one pair of shoes and be able to sell it at the same price as if it was the same size shoe altogether? And really the answer is yes. And it's been awesome to be able to provide that service to so many. Okay. Wow. All right. Well, you guys, thank you so much. I mean, this was great. Thank you very much for tuning in this week. We'll have another open book again next week, next Wednesday. Next week, our guest is another one of our association partners that we work with, one of our nonprofits. So it's going to be fun to tell their story. Okay, everyone, enjoy the day. Thank you very much for your time. And I hope this was of value to you. Okay, guys, take care. Thanks.